During the 2008 financial crisis, Michael Burry made over $100 million by betting against the housing market. But how did he actually do it? Well, the process is called short selling or going short, and that's what you guys are gonna learn all about today. We will talk about what is short selling, how does short selling work, and what are the different ways and methods we can use short selling to make money when the price is going down. But alright, so let's begin here by answering the very important question, what is short selling? And in very simple terms, short selling is betting that an asset's price will go down. So an asset could be, a stock or cryptocurrency or whatever, but what short selling basically is that we bet that the price will go down. And how this works is that you basically borrow an asset, you sell that thing right now, and then you buy it back later at a hopefully lower price. And don't worry if this sounds a little bit complicated right now. We will take a look at step by step how that process works very soon. But in simple terms, if the price drops, you profit, but if the price goes up, you lose money. So now, what's the difference between normal and short selling? Well, normal trading is what is called going long. And this is simply when you buy low and sell high. And this is basically what everyone thinks about when, you talk about trading or buying stocks. You want to buy a stock at a low price and then you want the price to go up and sell high. And short selling is basically the opposite. You want to sell high or short sell high and buy low. So short selling is the exact opposite of normal or going long. So as you can see right here, short selling is the opposite of a normal purchase. You are borrowing something you don't own, you sell it, and you promise to buy it back later. But now, and this is very important, why do traders even short sell in the first place? Well, the very obvious first reason here is to profit in down markets. So you can actually make money when the price falls. And this is of course super relevant today. Today, right now as I'm speaking, the stock market is crashing, the crypto market is crashing. So that's one big reason why I, want to make this video, because you can actually make money when the price goes down too. But another very important reason here is something called hedging. And this is basically, perhaps you don't want to bet everything that the market will go down, but you want to, hedging is basically when you want to protect your investments against market drops. So maybe if you have a long-term portfolio, but you think that the market might go down, you might want to short a little bit to basically limit your risk. And by the way, if you want to learn more about risk management, I do have a video about that I recommend to check out after this video. But last but not least here, market correction. You can simply bet against overvalued assets. Perhaps you think that, a certain stock, maybe you think that Tesla is fundamentally overvalued, then you can bet that Tesla will go down. But alright guys, so now let's take a look at how short selling or going short actually works here step by step. And to do this, let's take a look at an example. The example here is that we want to short 100 shares or 100 stocks at $10. And then our goal here is to buy them back at $8, which means that we will get $2 per share. And let's take a look at this interactive graph right here. So the process goes like this. First of all, we need to borrow 100 shares. So we borrow 100 shares from someone. You can think about it as that you borrow it from a friend or a broker. But you borrow 100 shares and you immediately sell them for $10 each. So now we have $1,000. So we borrowed the shares, now we have $1,000. But now let's take a look at what happens if the price goes down. Remember, we want the price to go down. So if the price goes down here to $8, we can now buy back the shares for $800, right? Now we give back the shares to our friend that we borrowed from. And just like that, because we sold them immediately for $1,000 and we bought them back for $800, that means that we made $200 in profit, right? But now let's take a look at what would happen if the price goes in the opposite direction. What happens if the price goes up? Well, the same process. We borrow 100 shares. We sell them immediately at $1,000. But now if the price goes up to $1,200, we still have to give back the shares to our friend. So now we have to buy them back for more, $1,200, before we give them back. And this will lead to a total loss of $200. All right, so here are some important concepts to understand about short trading. The first one is that in order to short trade, you need a margin account. Another important thing to have in mind is borrowing cost. So when you borrow shares or cryptocurrencies from someone, you need to pay interest on the borrowed shares. Just like if you borrow money at the bank, you need to pay interest. The same thing is true if you borrow shares. Another very important concept is something called a margin call. And this is if the stock price rises too much. Remember, when the stock price goes up, we lose money. You might need to either add more money, add funds, or you might need to close your position. Last but not least, another concept you might have heard about is something called a short squeeze. This is a very interesting topic, so I might make a separate video on that. By the way, let me know if you want to see a video on short squeezes. But this is basically when the price rises sharply, which forces many short sellers to buy back. The short sellers get margin calls, and this leads to the price going up even more, leading to even more people getting forced to buy back, and so on and so on. And this can lead to the price going up very quickly. But all right, so now let's take a look at the different methods we can use to go short, because so far we have been talking about the sort of actual underlying mechanics to go short. But there are many kinds of financial instruments that you can use to very easily go short or bet against something. So besides directly shorting stocks, which we have been talking about, there are other instruments used to bet on price declines, and this is very important. So the first instrument here, and this is a very common one, you might have heard about it, is something called put options. And a put option basically gives you the right, but not obligation, to sell at a specific price. So a put option increases in value when the price drops. So this is a way to short. And a key benefit with put options is that the risk here is limited. You will only lose the premium paid. And in this video, we don't really have time to go super deep into put options, but let me know down in the comments if you want to see a deep dive into put options and maybe options in general in the future. But here, yet another method to go short is using something called inverse or short ETFs. So these are basically ETFs designed to go up when a market or index goes down. And by the way, if you want to learn more about ETFs, I do have a video about that, and I will make sure to link the video up in the video card and the description. In that video, I also share my top 5 ETFs for 2025, so you definitely might want to check that one out. I actually include one short ETF in that video. But here, as I said, these are ETFs that are designed to go up when the market goes down. And for this, no margin is needed, and you can trade like regular stocks. So an example of a short ETF is SH, which is, an ETF that is shorting the S&P 500. And another example is PSQ. This is an ETF shorting the NASDAQ. And here, one sort of thing, one caution here when it comes to short inverse ETFs is that they are not really designed for long-term holding. So more shorting instruments includes futures contracts. I do have a video about futures. I highly recommend to check that one out. Another one is called CFDs, and another one is called leveraged inverse ETFs. So this is what we talked about earlier, but you can use leverage. I do have a video about leverage as well, which I highly do recommend to check out when you got the time. But alright guys, so I do have some more things to cover, but this video is getting a bit long, so I think I will save the rest for channel members. If you didn't know, we do have an amazing community right here on YouTube. So if you want to get access to even more exclusive contents, different kinds of tools, and a community that can help you navigate these crazy markets, don't hesitate to become a channel member by clicking join down below. I would love to see you guys over there. And also guys, when you are ready to deepen your knowledge about finance and economics to really survive and even thrive in this kind of market, I highly recommend to check out this playlist next.